Hey coders, welcome back to our UIKit series. Today we're diving into MapKit in UIKit, learning how to add a map to a profile screen. We'll go through getting location permissions, setting coordinates in MapKit, and even customizing the profile image using storyboards. Let's dive on in. First, let's go ahead and create a new project on Xcode. I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch, but if you'd like to add this to your own kind of UIKit, feel free to do so. I'm going to call my MapKit demo here. I'll just say UIKit, just in case I want to do one on SwiftUI. And here we're going to have our interface be set to storyboard. We'll hit next and go ahead and get started. I'm just going to adjust my screen here so it's a little bit easier because I don't have the camera blocking a little bit of the screen. So let's head on over and actually start in our info.plist. So this is kind of this little file here called info. And what we're going to be doing is actually adding a new requirement, which is going to be the privacy. So you can type privacy, and you'll see we have a whole bunch of them here. If you want to keep typing, but essentially we're going to be using privacy, location, when in use, description. So if we scroll here, it should be alphabetical order. Let's see, privacy, location, when in usage, description. And under the value here, this is where we can write that message to the user. And we're going to say, we need your location to show it on the map. If there, you have any other reasons or requirements, maybe you can say we need your location to help you find nearby stores or things like that. This is where that string of that message, that's where you can kind of change what it says to the user. So this permission request will prompt the user for location access, and if they consent, that will allow us to show their location on the map. Anytime you're using things like the camera, accessing contacts, you do need to get that permission from the user first. Awesome. So now let's create the profile layout in storyboard. I will add a profile image and a label for the username, as well as a map view. So we're going to go ahead and click on our main storyboard here, and let's go ahead and add a UI image view. I'm going to drag and drop that onto our screen here. We're going to add a label below that. Label. We'll just say username for now. And we're also going to add a map view. So if you want to go ahead and search for map view, it'll be called MapKit view. Some people call it an MK map view as well. Let's go ahead and drag and drop that down. We can make this a little bit larger as well. If you want to use your auto layouts to make sure that everything fits, you can already see I have some caution signs up here being like, hey, by the way, use auto layout, remember. But let's go ahead and we'll customize the profile image first. So we can either use an image that we want to, maybe we want to use a person here, person.fill, we totally can. But let's actually go to our assets catalog and we'll add an image. So what we can do is we can import. I do have some images on my desktop here. So I'm going to go to my images non-promotional, and maybe I'm going to add my Memoji here. I'm just going to rename it so it's a little bit easier. I'm going to call it profile image with a capital I. Now we can go back to our storyboard, and under image, anything that you generally add to your assets catalog, it's going to be at the very top here under project. So I'm going to set this to be my profile image there, my little Memoji, me in the laptop there. If we want to change how it kind of fits, maybe we do aspect fill. Oh, that looks kind of cool. I'm like peeking out. Maybe scale to fill. Oh no, now I'm getting shrunk. Let's just leave it on the aspect fit. I think that looks the best. All right, let's go ahead and now open up our assistant viewer here. And we're going to add all of our outlets. I'm just gonna make a little bit of space so it's easier for us. I'm gonna start off by grabbing our profile image. So I'm gonna just call it profile image view. And then I'm gonna add our label here. I'm gonna call it, we'll call it username label. Why not? And then we'll also add our map view. And we'll just call this map view. Wonderful. Next, we also actually have to go to our imports. You'll see like we're getting a little bit of an error here. We'll have to import MapKit. We'll also want to import something called core location. Amazing. And this allows us to kind of add those different features to our view controller. You can now see that we've added our MapKit and our MapKit view no longer has that error. Next, we're actually going to go to our class here. Next to our UI view controller, we're going to add a comma. We're going to add CL location. So CL stands for core location. So it basically says core location manager delegate. It says this method allows you to receive events from an associated location manager object. Pretty cool stuff here. So next, let's go ahead and in our function view did load, we're going to reference a couple functions that we are going to be creating. So in here, I'm going to say setup profile image, and we're also going to have another function that we're going to be calling setup location manager. We'll definitely get some errors because we haven't declared these in scope. Let's go ahead and do that right now. So we're going to say function setup profile image. Cool. We shouldn't need anything for the parameters, but this is where we're going to do a little bit of some changes programmatically in order to kind of change how our, profile image here works. So we're going to say profile image view. We're going to use autofill here. Dot layer dot corner radius equals profile image view dot frame dot width. So this is going to make it circular. So it's going to say makes image circular. Next, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting the profile image view dot clips to bounds. We're going to have this equals true. And then we're also going to say, that actually should be okay. If we need to fix anything else later and like add a background, we totally can, but let's just leave it as is now. We'll add our other function here, and this is our setup location manager. We don't need to pass anything, so we'll just have empty brackets, and we'll say location manager dot delegate equals self. Then we're going to have our location manager dot request when in use authorization. This is going to request the location from the user, and then we're also going to add location manager dot start updating the location. This is going to start the location tracking. Cool. We might have a few errors here. I'm just saying that we cannot find location manager in scope. So let's go ahead and fix that because we're going to be using core location to handle that. Let's go under our IP outlets here and we'll say let location manager equals CL location manager, and this is going to initialize location manager using core location. Alrighty, let's go ahead and run our app and kind of see how that works. But essentially, we're going to set up the profile image to have that corner radius and make it a little bit more rounded. Once we kind of add a background, we'll kind of see what that looks like. It's also going to set up the location manager, which is going to handle requesting of that permission. All right, cool. Once our simulator has loaded, you will see that we now have this allow MapKit demo, whatever your project might be, to use location. And you can see that string that we've added. We need your location to show it on the map. We can allow once, allow while using the app, or don't allow. I'm just going to go ahead and allow once. We can kind of see that we now have our nice map of North America. If we were to launch this on an actual phone, because we have, kind of given it permissions, we'll kind of be able to see where we are in the world. So it should set your region to be wherever you are. I am located in North America, so it's going to show it to North America. If you set it to be, or if you're in like South America, maybe Australia or something, it might be different. You should be able to also go to your Xcode here and press debug. And you can actually change your sample location. Because we are running it right now, we can't currently change it, but if that's what you wanted to do. We can also see that a profile image is a little bit rounded, but it's kind of more like a diamond. So let's go ahead and go back to our code here. And in our profile image, let's go ahead and maybe we can change this width a little bit here. Let's have it maybe say width divided by 2, and that should make it a little bit more round. So we'll say width divided by 2. Let's go ahead and also add a background to our phone screen here. Make it pop a little bit more. Let's do system teal. That sounds pretty cool. And then relaunch our app here. Cool stuff. So that is a little bit more rounded. Love to see that. We're not like stuck in a diamond anymore. That was pretty cool though. So let's go ahead and actually figure out how we can add coordinates to our map. So a really easy way to do that is actually to use Apple Maps. We can kind of see that we have the entire map of the world. Let's go and head on into Vancouver here. And maybe we can see some locations. So let's take, for example, the Pacific Spirit Regional Park here. If we click on it here, it has some info, some TripAdvisor. Ooh, 4.5 out of 320. Seems like a great place to be. We can actually go ahead and look for the address, or we can actually press on these 3 dots here, and we can actually copy the coordinates. So this allows us to kind of grab the coordinates of a location. If you want to be really specific with your coordinates, you can also right-click, drop pin, and from here you'll actually have the coordinates. So apparently I chose this random location in the world, but you can also grab the coordinates that way if you want to be very specific and not just use those kind of landmarks. So now let's actually center the map on the user's location as long as they've given permissions, and set an initial coordinate as a fallback. So in our view controller, we're going to implement the location manager did update location method in order to implement this new function. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an entirely new function, and we're going to say function location manager, and we can actually use the did update location. Let's see if we can find it here. Did update heading, did update locations. Let's use this as kind of our template here. And what we're going to do is we're going to say let, so we're going to use a guard statement here, user location equals locations dot last else, and then we're just going to actually return. Cool. Now we'll say let region equals MapKit coordinate region. So MK coordinate region. Let's see, why are you not MK coordinate region? There we go. We're going to add a bracket here. We're going to add the center. We're going to add the latitude meters and the longitude meters as well. So we'll say center user location dot coordinate. We'll add a comma here, and we'll say latitude meters. Let's have this set to be 5,000 maybe. We'll add another comma, and we'll say longitude meters. Let's also set this to be 5,000. outside of these brackets here, we're going to say map view dot set region. We'll have this be to their region. We'll also have the animated be true. And so what that's going to do is going to center the map on the user. All right, and what we can also do is we can set the initial coordinates as the fallback. So we'll go ahead and create one more function here, and we'll say function set initial map location. We don't need anything in the parameters there. And we'll say let initial location equals CL location coordinates, and we're going to pass along a latitude and a longitude. We can just pick anything here. We can even use the coordinates we had grabbed earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my Apple Maps. I'm going to go to my Pacific Park, copy my coordinates here. I'm going to add them, and then I'm going to copy and paste them in. Cool beans. So that should set the location to default back to that park that we had shown earlier. And let's also set the region. So I'll say let region equals MK coordinate region. We'll add a center. And we can say initial location. We'll then add our latitude meters. We'll set this to be 5,000, and our longitude meters. We'll also set this to be 5,000, and we'll also, do the exact same thing where we're going to be setting our map view dot set region. Let's have this be region animated true. Okay, great. And now in our view did load, we're going to add an additional check. So our view did load, we're going to say, here. We'll say if CL location manager dot authorization status equals dot authorization when in use. Brace here, and we're going to say location manager dot start updating location, and then we're actually going to add an else statement here. We'll say else, and from here we'll say set initial. We'll say set initial map locations. We're going to call upon that function we created earlier. And this is going to set map to default location. Alrighty, let's go ahead and see how our app works. Again, if you want to change your debug simulate location, you can. So let's set ours to be, Tokyo? Let's do New York. Let's do New York. And we can go ahead and run our app here. Let's go ahead and we can kind of see if we don't allow, we're already in that park in Vancouver, but what happens if we say allow once? It's going to move us all the way over to New York. I want a New York bagel. There's Central Park. Don't judge me for my New York impression, please. But basically, because we are able to kind of simulate that default location to the user, it's kind of like plopped us down in Central Park. But you can even kind of see before we gave that permission, it was going to that default location, that park in Vancouver. But pretty cool stuff here. If we were to run this on an actual iPhone, it would actually be using your user's location. I'm not going to use mine because I don't want to like dox my location. Everyone's going to show up to my house. We'll have a party. But yeah, that's how you're able to, set up a default location. You're able to grab the permission from the user, and you can kind of show them this cool map on MapKit. So something I'd recommend doing, especially when using any additional frameworks such as MapKit, you can actually go ahead and just hover over the MapKit here, and you can go to the quick help, and I'll bring you to the quick help. Embed maps is kind of overview what it does. You can even press this open in developer documentation, or you can go to help and open developer documentation here. I also always put a link in the description. But if we do open this in the developer documentation, this is where you can learn so much more about the MapKit APIs here. If we go ahead and click on this, enabling map skippability in Xcode, what a map view is, map coordinates, map sizes, points, and things like that. It does really allow you to learn a whole lot more. So if you're sitting there thinking, how does he know all these things for these tutorials? Well, it's honestly really thanks to the documentation here. And this allows you to, anything that's in kind of blue, you can click on any of these options here. So even the coordinate region, you can kind of figure out how to use more of that. So always feel free to check out the documentation to learn more. Things like Google and Stack Overflow are also your best friend for when you are kind of learning these new capabilities in Swift coding and in Xcode. So just wanted to include that as well. Cool stuff. So that's it for integrating MapKit and UIKit. Today we built that profile screen with the custom profile image, the username label, and an interactive map centered on the user's location. If you enjoyed this tutorial, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more UIKit content and tutorials. But until next time, dream big and code bigger.